I hope you're all going well. So the last few weeks we've been talking a lot about our movement around the back and how we can use that to create great attacking opportunities heading forwards. So this week we're going to change the tune a little bit and talk about our press, which is a really important aspect of the game and can win us a lot of ball from the other team. So if you don't already know much about pressing, that's totally fine. We're going to go through it slowly. And also, my motto with pressing is just to keep it simple, because I've played in a lot of teams where we've played many different types of presses, often, more than one, maybe 3, even 4 presses in the one game. And while that can be good if you're playing certain teams, I think it's really important just to keep it simple, because hockey, we're having to think about a lot of things when we're playing, and I think it's really important to keep our cognitive load as low as possible so that we can just focus on the task at hand. So that's why I like to keep the pressing very simple, just so we can have it in our mind, know what we want to do, and then we can basically just play free. And, by the time you get the ball, you don't have anything to think about. You can just, play off instinct and with freedom. So the way I like to think about pressing is which players are responsible for which of the opposition's players. And that means that while we're not playing a technically man-on-man structure or anything, it means that every player is accountable for the other opposition player. And at the end of the day, if every player in our team is accountable for the other team, we're going to win the game, because basically we want everyone to win their individual battles. So the way I like to think about it is that every player in our team has an opposing player. So, and this is obviously, it's quite obvious. So starting from left half, which in this case we've got Jan and Dave, they're responsible for that striker. This right half, Marion, is responsible for the other striker. Nigel, the fullback, is responsible for the centre forward. And then in this case, we've got the other fullback, who is Sandy, who's that free man role. So they don't have a player that they're marking, but they're positioning themselves between the ball and the goal, and just so they can jump on any loose ball that comes out and potentially step up and take tackles if it's coming through here. So he can just have a little circle around himself, because he's really zonal more than marking a player. Obviously we've got the inners marking the inners, so that's Faye marking their right inner, and then we've got Janet marking their left inner. And then we have Mary at centre half, and the role of the centre half really is to mark the other centre half out of the game. So we want them really tight on them and being really aggressive and ready to step in front in case the ball comes to them. So now the strikers is where it gets quite interesting. So of course we've got 3 strikers here to cover 4 defenders, because we have our free man back there. So in this case we're setting ourselves up as a slant press. So they've got a 16 up here, or they're taking it roughly a little bit back, but we have got a slant. So we are slanting our press towards the closest sideline. Now that's really important, because the same thing can happen on the left. If they're starting over here, we want to slant our press down in that direction, because we want to push them towards the sideline so we can then crunch them on the sideline. And now each of the 3 strikers, yes, they have 4 defenders, but they each have a specific role. So starting on the right wing, which is Flash, the right wing's role is to cover their left half. Our left wing, who is Bill, his role is to cover their right half. And then that leaves our centre forward, who could be Simon or Derek, to cover these 2 fullbacks. So this doesn't mean that Simon and Derek are running rapidly between the 2 fullbacks, trying to play piggy in the middle and cut them out eventually. No, we don't want that. We just want them to play a very zonal role. So the way we do that when we set up for the press is we've got them fronting the press. They are at the head of the press. They are often the first person to set up the entire press and fill out what is a very important position, which is to press the ball. So we've got them here offsetting, so they're a little bit to the left, which is going to, give them the space to push the ball to the right. So if we were to set up sort of just bang on here, we're not enticing that option as much to the right, and also it means if they try to hit through us, then they're going to could be literally hitting directly at us or even to our left, which is really hard to trap the ball. So it's important to offset to the left a little bit so that if it hits sort of straight down to us, we can make that trap really strong. So that's the centre forward role. They are just to front the ball initially. We'll go through what they do next. The right wing, so that's Flash. So Flash is going to be, again, enticing the ball to this left half. That is where we want the ball to go. So it's really important that Flash isn't like really up high here, because then that makes the fullback think that they want to go around to the other side. So Flash needs to be, again, offsetting, so allowing some space down the line, so they're holding the infield line so that when the ball goes, to here, Flash is able to approach on the 45-degree angle, so running in like that. And what we're ideally wanting them to do is, they may not tackle them or anything, but we're wanting them to put them under pressure, and then for this left half to panic, and they might just then put the ball down the line, in a rush. And then that means that either our right inner can step in and cut it out, or our right half can step in and cut it out, because often they're the one who is manning the line. And so Bill at left wing is also playing another important role. So he is sort of the top of the slant, and he is enticing the ball to go down here by kind of saying, nah, there's nothing on out here, we've got you covered. He's in the line between the ball and the right half, so that option is not on. And he's also kind of making it seem like if the ball goes to the fullback, then they don't have much space to play in. So what do we want the striker unit to do when the ball goes to our right? So just as we discussed before, if they pass the ball here, then we want Flash running in on this 45-degree angle, tracking in there. It could even be a little bit of a banana lead, which looks as a banana basically, so it's a bit of an arc, and the idea behind that is that it forces them to push the ball down the line rather than go back in. So once the ball is going there, now Simon and Derek at centre forward are thinking, now how can I cover these two fullbacks as much as I can so that it means that once they get there they can't go back and around. So they're really going to push up in here, so be more about on this angle, so that when they receive the ball there, they can't really go back. And the important thing, very important thing that Bill needs to do here at left wing is to drop a little bit. So he's dropping to here, and the reason for that is, again, is that he wants to be on the line between the ball carrier there and his right half that he's concerned with manning. So in effect, that looks a little bit more like a triangle. So rather than having the slant image, we've got the triangle like this. And that is basically because we're providing a wall that they can't go through to get to the other side. And that really is the same way that we would want to set up our press when the ball is on the sideline, a sideline hit. So yeah, if they are taking a sideline hit from here, it's basically exactly the same. And the reason for that is that if we have a slant on the sideline, which I'll show you now, so often teams might set up like this with the striker on the sideline, then the centre forward kind of on that 90 degree, and then the left wing up here. And it takes those strikers away from the players that they are really concerned with. So the reason why we don't have the player standing on the sideline is because really we want the ball to go down the sideline. We want them to make it look like they can put it down the sideline, and then that's when we step up. And when we've got the right wing down here, that takes them further away from their player, who's the left half, and then that takes the centre forward even further away from these two fullbacks that they're trying to manage. And then it takes this left wing into a position which is more where we'd want our centre forward rather than having them back there. So just to reiterate, when the ball is on the sideline, whether it's been transferred from the middle of the field or whether it's actually been set up there, we want the look of the press to be more of a an arrowhead, a point. And the time when we use the slant press is when the ball is pretty much in any of these kind of channels down here. So we're trying to either slant them that way or we're trying to slant them that way. So what happens if they've got the ball on this side, whether it's been transferred there or it was a sideline hit up, and they say, okay, we're going to go around the back. So they put the ball through here to this player, and then they put the ball here through to this player. Now what do we do? Well, now that they're transferring the ball around to here, we want to keep it on there rather than having them go back. So we're going to have this left wing dropping in here. So that's Bill. So they're ready to get the ball to run in on this angle towards that right half. So we've got Bill there. And now we're going to have Flash push up to sort of around here to, you know, push them over to here. So Flash is going to be up there now. My view is that rather than Simon and Derek dropping, which means that, you know, once they get it here, then if they go around the other way, then we're going to have to do another big sort of seesaw movement and flip around here. So then we have to keep going like that, backwards and forwards, which makes us tired. And, you know, if they keep continually doing that, and if one player isn't exactly in their position, then that's when they can exploit it and use that space that we've created. So I would rather be more aggressive and really push it into the sideline and make sure that they can't get around the back. And that also has a psychological effect on the defenders as well, because if you're really up in their faces, that gets them really stressed and feeling like they have no time on the ball. And then that's when they make mistakes that we can pounce on. So I would want Simon and Derek, rather than continually dropping all the time, I'd want them to push up, or, you know, stay around there where they were. And as soon as the ball goes to this other fullback, we then want them, because bear in mind that these are the two players that they are managing, we want them to do what we call a banana lead. So going around like that to be about there. So they're cutting the ball off back to that fullback, which puts that person onto the pump. And also it can really frighten them because they might blindside them. So that fullback could be receiving the ball like that, and then all of a sudden they have a player right there, and that freaks them out. So yeah, and again, that's when we turn into the arrowhead press. So we've got the dot, dot, dot. And so, of course, they have no other option but to put it there straight quickly. And then that's when we have Bill there at left wing coming in on that 45-degree angle to do just the same as what we were trying to do on the other side. So he's going in on that 45-degree angle so that hopefully they, you know, pass the ball down here. Or they might put it over the sideline, or they might mistrap it and make a whole heap of mistakes. But the really important thing here is that because we want the ball going down, we want our inners, so Faye and Janet, and also our halves, so Jan and Dave and Marion as well, to be really engaged with what's going on. And here, obviously, we don't want that scenario happening and that player getting the ball and then they're actually attacking. So we want Faye to track across with them to here, and then when it happens, we want her to jump in front and get the ball. Or if her inner is doing different sorts of things and might be running all over the place, then that's when we, you know, will have expected Jan and Dave to be around here and make that trap when it goes down the line. So that's the basics of the press. So the key things to remember is that if the ball is set up sort of in the middle channels of the field, that's when we initially want to execute our slant press. So we're slanting in that sort of direction. Now, if the ball is out here, then we want to go into the arrowhead press. So that's really, we've got this person, the centre forward, so Simon or Derek pushing up there, and then our left wing managing that right half. So now we're becoming more of a an arrow. And then the other move that we remember about is that if the ball is put around to there, then that is when we want our centre forward cutting off that line to the ball there, and then we want left wing there like that, so that we have again got more of an arrow pointing towards it. And yeah, that is the basics of the press. So I hope that was simple enough to understand. Feel free to flick through any questions that you have, and we can definitely clarify that in the next week. There's obviously many ways that you can press in a game, and you might choose to do different ones based on what the opposition is doing. But as a general rule, that kind of slant press and then going into an arrow to push them to other side is a good way to start. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I hope it made you think about maybe some different ways of pressing the ball and different ways that we can turn them over. Because when we're doing this right, when we've got every player doing their role and making sure they're managing the corresponding player, then that's when we can continually turn them over and over and over again, and get some really good opportunities to counterattack and score. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and hope you have a great week.